Good morning. How's everyone doing today? Well, the rain and the sleet are gone and the sun is shining. It's not a half bad day today. So, just thinking this morning as I was reading, as every morning I'm giving you some thoughts. Jesus invites us to go on a journey with him. To go with him in places that maybe we don't fully understand at the moment. And right before Judas betrays Jesus, he takes the other disciples with him to the Garden of Gethsemane. And he asks them to wait. So he leaves a group of them behind. He takes James and John and Peter a little bit further in, and then he himself goes in a little bit further. Which is sometimes funny to me as far as, the disciples are as close to Jesus, but you have almost the outer court, the holy place, and then the Holy of Holies, if you think about the temple that way, and can't maybe think about it this way, because Jesus is going to pray before the Father. So you have kind of the disciples who are there, still part of the family, but there. Then you have the inner court where it's the closest ones to Jesus, and then you have Jesus himself. And he invites us into these different levels. And if you go read Hebrews, Jesus eventually opens up the way entirely with the veil being torn and the temple no longer being needed for sacrifices. But I digress from today's thought. But Jesus invites us into things. He invites us to go to places that we don't fully understand. And what happens is he goes and he prays and he comes back and the disciples are sleeping and he's like, hey, this is not a direct translation, by the way. Hey, wake up. I need you to pray with me. And he comes back again after going further again and he's like, well, you're asleep. And then the third time he comes back and it's kind of this, get your rest. Go ahead and sleep. Not that he's done with them, but that they've missed the point. And then shortly after that, Judas brings the troops by and Jesus is arrested. But the whole lead up even to that is interesting, because you have Jesus, plot against Jesus. You have Jesus being anointed by a woman with perfume. You have the Last Supper, as it's called, and that interaction with the disciples there, where Judas leaves, and then you have Jesus' prediction of Peter's denial of him, and all of these things are going on, and the disciples just miss who he is, or really maybe what he's been telling them. And how often do we think we know Jesus when he's calling us to something different, calling us to something more, and we just miss him? We miss the meaning of it. We miss the call because we're too busy sleeping. We're too busy not paying attention to where we're really headed and where we're really going. Well, where he's leading us, I should say. So while maybe this is a little bit more of a what are you really doing with Jesus moment today, don't lose sight of the fact that he calls us to follow him. And we might have to give more than we're willing to give sometimes. But there's hope. There's hope that his promises are true. There's hope that he is who he says he is, because yes, he goes and he's arrested and he goes before the high council and all these things, and he's crucified and buried and dead, but then he rises again and he restores Peter, and he can use us and restore us in great and powerful ways if we would let him. So thanks for joining me on my drive, though obviously I'm parked in a parking lot right now having a talk with y'all. So have a wonderful day. We'll catch you next week. Bye.